Guinan is not the issue here. You are. We had an agreement that you would stop meddling with us.
And so I have.
What do you want, Q? You state your business. Get on with it.
I agree, Captain. Enough about this creature. She's diverting us from the purpose of my being here.
Which is? Oh, the redoubtable Commander Riker. And Microbrain. Growl for me. Let me know you still care.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, and Dory is a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on our first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we'll be discussing the Season 2 episode, Q Who? Original air date May 6th, 1989. And as always, we will go to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so we start off with this new, really eager ensign, Sonia Gomez, who I thought was going to be really relevant to this story. Spoiler alert, she's not.
No.
They just spend an awful lot of time with her at the beginning of this episode. So Sonia likes to be polite to machines, which is fine. She says please and thank you to the machine when it gives her her hot coffee. No, hot chocolate.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hot chocolate. So she's like talking with Geordi and she's like, oh, I probably shouldn't drink this over here. So she like moves, I don't know, a few feet from Geordi from where she was standing and then like walks into Picard and dumps her hot chocolate, which honestly could not be that hot if nobody reacted that hardly to like heat. And Picard literally just like holds the glass in his hand, which I would assume would have been hot, but or just pretend it to be hot. I don't know.
Maybe she likes her hot chocolate lukewarm. Oh
God, that's upsetting. So she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and she starts touching him.
Yeah.
She's not like wiping him down. She's just touching his
she's like
body.
really rubbing on him. Yeah,
and he's just like, this isn't helping.
Yeah. Well, even the dialogue doesn't help. And she's like, oh, it's all over you. He's like,
and
yes,
he's like,
Ensign.
yes, Ensign, it's all over me.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So Picard has to go change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very quick side note. That was such a good shot. Like, I guess it was sort of like a tracking shot when he went through all the door frames.
Yeah.
To get to the lift. That was very good. So he's like wants to go to his quarters to change, and then like the doors open and he's in a blue room, and then very abruptly the driver of this blue room, which is a shuttle, is Q. And he does this like really sudden, I don't know why I just did it. I did like this really sudden head turn as if it's like, surprise, it's Q. And then Q, like, basically just, like, wipes Picard's uniform clean somehow. So back with Sonia, she just has, like, a major case of FOMO.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to be part of everything. I want to see the action. It's like, Sonia, like, yes, but also, like, take a moment. Just take a breath. Her and Geordi goes with her to 10 Forward to get a drink. And in there, like, Guinan's spidey sense is tingling because she's like, something's happening and I don't know what, but she gets up and just stares out the window. So then she buzzes up to the bridge and she's like, hey guys, what's shaking? And they're like, oh, nothing as far as we know. And then they're like, where's the captain? And he's not there and a shuttle is missing. So they do a full stop looking. Oh yeah, so like Q wants to join the Enterprise because he was kicked out of the Q, what are they called? Continuum? Yeah, okay. So he's kicked out of the Q Continuum and he wants to join the Enterprise, but he's doing probably the worst job of convincing Picard to do anything. It was not endearing. So Q is like pissed off that Picard's not interested in like helping him, like bringing him into the crew. Oh yeah, apparently he has some like he's had like a run-in with Guinan 200 years ago, and they both were like, you. Oh yeah, Picard, Q brought Picard back onto the ship, and for whatever reason, Q is like perched on a part of the window or something.
Well, he likes to be dramatic.
Yeah. The thing I was most disappointed, there was no Q costumes.
Yeah.
That was like one bit that I was like, okay, it's a Q episode. Let's see some wardrobe.
Well, they put their money into other costumes, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. So then Q is pissed off, and he like basically, I thought he broke the ship. But he like threw it 7,000 light years away, and they are like end up near this cube thing, and they are the Borgs, and they teleport. They bring a scout, just like appears in the engineering and is like scanning the computer with some gun thing, and then Worf and the captain come down to be like, what the fuck's happening?
Oh, it's not a gun thing. It's his arm.
Wait, that's his arm?
That's his arm.
Oh, God.
Because they're part organic
Machine.
and part machine, yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. So he's absorbing, I guess, information from the computers. Picard, Worf, and security come down. And then, like, Worf shoots one. And then another scout appears. And then, like, gets more information and then goes back to the cube. So basically the Borgs are like, they hail the ship and are like, hey, listen, you're not really a challenge to us because we will overtake you, no problem. And instead of being like, hey, maybe we should totes leave, Picard's like, what if we investigate this longer?
Yeah. That's why I feel like Guinan is the audience.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking weird. And then like the Borg, they like have like a tractor beam, so they're holding the Enterprise in space, and then they kind of, it looks like they're drilling. They had like another beam that like drilled out a section. Well, it was sections 27, 28, 29 on decks 4, 5, and 6, and so like 18 people were on there, and I thought this was going to be like, oh, we'll get them back. They're like in there, but like they're on the ship now. It's a rescue. Nope, they're just dead.
Yep.
Like, rip to those 18 people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they cut out a section of the ship and like sucked it up.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought maybe it was like a kidnapping situation versus just like death.
Nope. They dead.
Yeah, so yeah. So, oh, okay. So they have like a group meeting, and then like and then Q is like being annoying, and Riker like shouts or whatever, and Picard puts his hand on Riker's arm to calm him, and it was there for a good like couple seconds. It's like, aw, cute. Then Riker comes up with the brilliant plan of, hey, how do we want to make this worse? Let's go visit the fucking ship. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's when Guinan is like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she is me. Like, what?
Yeah.
What the
I was
fuck
like,
are
this
you
is
talking about?
the worst idea.
Yeah.
So Riker goes in with Worf and Data into the ship, and they see like all of the Borgs are like attached to the ship. It's basically they work as one entity versus like individuals, and them like being charged like helps regenerate like any damage on the ship. And then they find the Borg nursery, which was not nearly as creepy as like I was anticipating. So Riker opens a thing, and there's like a human
It's
baby,
like a
but it's
drawer.
got some tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, this is like a baby Halloween costume for like steampunk or something. So yeah, it appears that they like are born like organic matter or whatever, like humans, and then they just like get cool new attachments as the older they get, perhaps. So then they like, Picard's like, oh shit, we needs to jet. So they this is the first time they've just transported them to the bridge versus the room. Yeah, so that was like kind of abrupt.
Yep.
So then they're like, okay, we better start running. And they just like go into like warp 9 and just keep going. And then Q, super casually lounging on the floor, is like, hey, yeah, keep like, oh no, I think he says it's then he's lounging on the floor. But he's like, yeah, no, like they can just keep going until you guys run out of fuel. So this is just a moot thing. Have fun running. And then, yeah, then Q lounges on the floor. And Picard finally is like, gives in to Q, and he's like, hey, if we die here, you will not be able to gloat. So, like, maybe you want to give us a hand? And Q's like, okay. And so then flings them back to where they were. And they're like, cool, now we're going to keep going to the closest starbase. And I thought that was it for the episode. But then we get one more scene with Guinan and Picard. And I forget who says it, but it was like Q did the right thing for the wrong reason. So now that they know like the Borgs are out there, they can be more prepared. Although to be fair, unless they come up with some incredible technology between like now and then, I don't know how they think they're going to like be able to outsmart or like defeat the Borgs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that Guinan was more part of the plot.
Yeah.
And more background. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Guinan's an imp, I think Q said.
Yeah. I mean, that's just Q trying to discredit Guinan, I believe.
Oh, so it's like, was a more of like an adjective versus like an actual.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was an adjective versus like.
Okay.
Say they keep Guinan's like sort of whole deal pretty vague and secret. So she's just like mysterious lady. Mm-hmm. There is one thing I feel I have to spoil for you, and it's to do with Sonia Gomez.
Does she do anything in the future?
No. She was supposed to be a new regular character, but I guess it didn't work out, and eventually, like, I think she only sticks around for maybe 1 or 2 more episodes. I can't remember.
That is accurate.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I didn't really like her.
I didn't mind her. I thought it was cute to have someone who's like visibly out of their element on the ship.
I don't know. I found it kind of annoying. Like, I think
That's
because
fair.
it was distracting people from their work.
Yes, yeah.
So, like,
that's
if she
correct.
was just like distracted and then, like, or not distracted, if she was just like doing her job of being excited, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
cool. This is a cool thing to be excited about. But she was like actively distracting and was distracted herself.
Yeah, that's
so,
fair.
like, and also, man, she really went to town on Picard. So,
Yeah.
like, it's not a surprise that she wouldn't last there a long time.
Fun little background information as to probably part of why they didn't have her back. Regarding her proposed third appearance, she said, "We had a major hair crisis. I did 2 episodes and I was supposed to come back and do a third, but I wanted to cut my hair. My agent asked if it would be okay, and since I wasn't under contract, they said, all right, fine, go for it. So she cut it shaggy just above the shoulder. I get a call the next week, and they want to redo a hallway scene. So I go back, and they lose their tiny little minds. They were so angry. Everyone was grumbling at me and making me feel not so great. But LeVar Burton was really sweet. He said, don't worry, this gives us a chance to do the scene even better."
Aw, LeVar Burton. I think, like, there's stuff that here's the thing. If they had her on for longer, then maybe, like, she would grow on me and become endearing. But just the way they set her up, I was like, no.
Yeah, they didn't give her. Well, she even says it in the episode. Not a good first impression.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, full disclosure, I fucking love this episode a lot. Namely, honestly, the music. The music does it for me so hard. And I love that. I just love that there's this, like, creeping existential threat, and it's something they can't handle. Like, I love it's a problem they can't solve.
Yeah, I did think the Borgs were a really neat introduction. It's interesting because, again, we normally, I think we're so used to seeing, like, individual villains or something or conflict, and this is one giant...
One collective that you can't even really communicate with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that the aesthetic was cool.
Just one little note, Dory. Borg is plural.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's just Borg.
Yeah, there's a single Borg, and then there is the Borg.
Yeah.
Okay. The Borg.
It's like moose.
Moose and Meese.
Yeah.
So the Borg were originally supposed to be like an insectoid race, and obviously budget got in the way of that because that would be severely expensive to do in 1989. So they went with this route instead.
Yeah, BDSM cyberpunk.
Yes, and it ended up working much better, clearly, and they stick with the Borg for, well, they become a staple of Star Trek. They don't come up too often because they're a really powerful adversary, so it's difficult to come up with new solutions for how to get around them each and every time. Voyager kind of ruins that, and I won't get into how. But yeah, you will definitely see them again, as they imply. Originally, this was part of one of Maurice Hurley's better ideas, because he decided that the Ferengi were an absolute failure, and there was no way to redeem them as an adversary. So he wanted to come up with something much more menacing that they could go back to every now and then, that could be like an ever-present threat. And this is what they went with. The original plan was for it to be a season introduction that would have started with, I don't know if you remember the last episode of the first season, the Neutral Zone. They're talking about these colonies that are getting scooped up off the planet. Well, that's what the Borg was supposed to be. So that was the implication that led to this. But because of the writer's strike, it took them halfway into the season to actually get the episode made. And it did not turn into the trilogy he originally had thought of it as.
Yeah. I love, like, okay, so in terms of, like, the plotness, in my opinion, I don't think Q was ever genuine in wanting to join the crew. I think that was just, like, a premise he came up with so that he could, like, bother them and, like, push their introduction to the Borg.
I think it's a little strange because technically I think that the writing in the episode is a little bit clunky, which is too bad because the dialogue is very good. The story idea for it is fantastic, and the atmosphere is absolutely excellent, both to a combination of the music and the sound design in general. It is really, really good at instilling this, like, presence of discomfort and fear around the episode, even though it starts off with, like, a comedy bit.
Yeah.
And yet, it ends up being clunky in some of its delivery, and I don't even know if I know how to explain how exactly that is. It's the lead-up between what's going on with Q is not fantastic. Like, they kind of lead you down several avenues over what he wants, and what he actually wants is ambiguous at best. And then his whole direction with it changes, and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to show you what you really have to deal with out here. But that was on a whim. And the rest of it, like, seemed to be calculated to do something. It's just we're never clued in as to what or why.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. What really does it for me in this episode is the atmosphere and the implications. Some of the exposition is a little clunky. But
yes, yeah, that's true.
I think, in general, I didn't notice the clunkiness, because I think, at least for me, everything else kind of made up for it, and it was like, it wasn't noticeable enough to me.
That's fair. I was looking for issues like that. I stumbled across this post a while ago because I argue in Star Trek groups a lot because I'm a piece of shit. And some guy was saying, I think we can all agree that the worst episodes in Season 2 are blank, blank, and Q Who. And I'm just like, what the hell? And I got into a huge discussion with someone over it. And I ended up coming around a little bit on deciding that the episode is definitely more flawed than I originally think of it as. And that's what I was looking for when watching this again. So, like, that conversation only happened a couple of weeks ago, so I was really looking forward to watching it again and being able to, like, disseminate what it was that I was seeing with it. And so, yeah, I still love it. It's still fantastic for me to watch, but I get why there would be some criticism of it, because it's got a couple of flaws that personally, I think are overshadowed by its virtues.
Yeah, this is not my favorite episode.
No.
That's fair.
No, yeah, no. I think they kind of underutilized Q. Like the whole part of why I have like a love-hate with him is like he can be quite fun. I think I'm also just like also really disappointed there was no costume change.
Oh.
You won't see too many of those in the future.
Oh,
I'm sorry, friend.
I got spoiled early. And now my expectations.
The him doing like 30 silly costumes is really an early Q thing. He does do some costumes later on, but not a lot.
I'm not asking for like a ton, just like 1 or 2 costume changes. You know, just spice it up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. This just was not. I don't know.
Yeah, he pops in like just enough for you to always remember that he's there, but he doesn't really do much.
No, he
And
definitely
I
doesn't.
also was not entirely sure when everyone could see him or just Picard, because there was times where he popped up that like nobody reacted, and times that he popped up that like everybody reacted, and then times where I just was not sure of like how much he was physically there, and then like how much was he just like appearing to Picard. And also, my God, this guy has like no sense of personal space.
Yeah.
He was all like, Picard has been violated.
Yeah.
No, not violated, but his personal space has been violated
Yeah.
this episode. From Sonya to Q, everybody's touching him.
Because Q, like, at one point he whispers to Picard, and he gets, like, right up next to his ear.
He does this twice. He does it because he was, like, in Picard's ear on the shuttle, in, like, both sides, and then he does it on, I think, on the Enterprise as well.
Yeah. So I think what you're talking about is just a mistake in filming, because everyone's supposed to be able to see him all the time.
Yes.
He's not
okay.
he's not like just appearing to Picard.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just
sometimes it just nobody react. Like he was on the screen and nobody reacted.
yeah, that's just an error in filming the episode. So that's on them.
So I feel like a lot of this episode could have been avoided by just listening to Guinan.
Yeah. Seriously.
The several times that she said, like, get the fuck out of here right now.
Yeah. I doubt you can make one argument in that they did get home faster.
Yeah.
Because I doubt if they'd actively left, I doubt Q would have ever helped them get back home.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's fair.
They would have had to travel 2 years just to get to like a really remote starbase.
Well, yeah, then we would have gotten to Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3, Voyager.
Yeah. Just
Also known as
Voyager.
Year of Hell.
Yeah. Ugh. In any case, we're not talking about
Spoilers.
Voyager.
Why not?
It's not a spoiler. That's the premise of the whole series.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I like to just say everything's a spoiler.
that's fair.
Also, though, I feel like Guinan... I mean, this is the script's fault, but I feel like Guinan gave her info too piecemeal. Like, I feel like she should have just told them everything she knew right away.
Yes.
Because, like, I don't know, maybe she had some excuse about, like, she didn't want them to know this too soon or some shit. But, like, Picard's like, your people have been here before, like, what can you tell us? And then she just says, like, if I were you, I would like, move along. Maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit, Guinan.
So, I will give them this in that regard. Yes, that is definitely the script's fault, but as vague as she's being, that is definitely in keeping with Guinan's character.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's this episode that really establishes how much of her character is that, or if that's just something that they had decided behind the scenes and always continued with later, because she's never, like, upfront about basically anything for her entire existence on the show.
Yeah. I mean, when they ask her direct questions about the Borg, she answers what she knows.
Yeah. Yeah, but she doesn't offer new information. She doesn't offer details, she offers thoughts.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's just kind of the way Guinan is.
Yeah, I like the threat that the Borg offer, personally. And I was trying to figure out what, if anything, they could be a critique of. And the first thing that always goes to my mind is like, I feel like people use the Borg as a critique of communism. But knowing Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry, I'm like, I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know.
I don't think I would think about it that hard from this episode.
Yeah, not from this. I'm thinking, like, generally, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Because from this episode, it's the idea of creating something so alien in our understanding. And to that, we went to insects because they're something that we as humans have a lot of difficulty understanding.
Yes.
Like, obviously, science has less difficulty understanding it, but the average person is like, oh my god, an entire, like, hive of creatures all working together? That's completely alien to us bees.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's... What does it become later on? No, I think it's definitely much more of a critique of a lack of individuality, because I don't think they're meant to represent something that's in actual humanity, and the individuality part, the like individual expression part specifically of humanity, is something that is often touted as one of humanity's strengths throughout all of Star Trek, and that's what the Borg represent, taking away that thing that defines our humanity.
Yeah, I think definitely later on it gets to that. In this episode, I could see it as... I think you're right, it's not really meant to be a critique of anything, but I was just trying to analyze it to see if I could come up with an analog. Like, I was trying to figure out their intent with it, whether
That's
or
fair.
not it was meant to be. But you could argue that it could be a critique of, like, consumerism, of just being so obsessed with, like, acquiring more technology and more knowledge and
That's
that kind
true.
of stuff, to just, like,
That's
run
true.
away with it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it can also be a critique of colonialism, of just like coming in, stealing people's resources, and colonizing their people and erasing their culture to melt with your own and blah blah blah.
I do quite like the thought that it's a consumerism allegory, specifically because the 1980s and 1990s were a period of like runaway technological advancement. So like we were getting the first personal computers in the 1980s. The internet was on the horizon, and what do you call it? Like color TV had become the standard in less than 20 years. There were so many advancements that were coming and still to come that like some people knew was on the horizon, some people didn't. But there's a lot to look at there in terms of like how quickly you can get swept up in technological change and needing to have the newest thing constantly.
And I feel like there is sort of always this fear when it comes to technology and like new stuff of relying too heavily on it or getting too like having it too much in your life.
Yes.
And like there's just sort of, to me, I don't care.
Yeah.
To me, it's like fucking put a computer in my brain, whatever. It doesn't bother me, but I understand that like some people could have this like visceral reaction to like technology literally invading their bodies. And
this
like,
would have been a really big topic in the 1980s and 1990s as well, especially within like evangelical groups who were I don't know if you remember when we were kids, we would see lots of pamphlets or like things stuck to a telephone pole saying, look out, they're gonna implant a what do you call it, a chip into your brain that says 666 on it and things like that. And that kind of like fear
people
conspiracy.
Sorry, people think that that's what COVID vaccine is.
Yes, but like the amount of conspiracy around that was something that had kind of perversed its way into more than just Star Trek as sci-fi, but we saw episodes around it in the X-Files. We saw episodes around it in The Outer Limits. We saw episodes around it all across the board in science fiction, in what do you call it, in dramas and whatnot. This loss of individuality, and it is something that really did come out of a fear of technology that developed in the 1980s, because we saw that with mass corporatism in like cyberpunk media too. How it was all about, we're the people down at the bottom resisting the system. The system is what has sucked up everybody else.
Yeah, and I feel like the 80s definitely, I mean, a lot of other eras had this, but like in terms of like, I'm getting into like the conformity, and obviously like every era has conformity, right? Like there's always a societal standard.
It's a
right?
thing we do.
Yeah, and I feel like it was pretty strong with the whole businessman kind of mentality that was big in the 80s. Like, the 80s is sort of like, to me, I always picture it as the era of the businessman.
Yes.
You know, just malicious corporate takeovers, trying to get to the top, like doing whatever you want, greed, get it all. And like, I see that kind of aligning with the Borg a lot.
Yeah.
Of just this, like, just consuming, like, just being all consuming.
Yeah. I mean, there was also the, sorry, to expand on your thought there was also the all-encompassing mass media, which had expanded so far beyond the ways that it had been before. Like, we had the birth of MTV, we had the accusations of of big pop artists selling out and whatnot, and like those sorts of ideas were not nearly as pervasive in previous decades, because there wasn't
TV
this
brainwashing you and shit.
Yes, yeah, but there wasn't this thought that everything was being controlled by marketers, like just for the sake of selling to you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays we're much more aware of the marketing and advertising tactics.
Yes.
Which is why advertisers try like more and more invasive shit to advertise to us.
Dude, I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've been scrolling through social media and whatnot, and I see an ad for something that is just a meme. Like, it's a regular, low-effort meme, and I'm just like, oh, what's this meme say? Wait a minute, this is a fucking ad.
Yeah.
This is it. What the hell? And yeah, I hate it so much.
For me, it's one specific company, but you know which one I keep fucking seeing it for? Is the Be a Scottish Lord thing.
Oh.
You know, it's like, do you know, have you seen those ads?
I don't think so.
It's basically like, okay, so I guess, I don't know, this is my best guess, but I think technically if you own land in Scotland, that makes you a lord.
Okay.
So basically they sell you like a 1 square foot of land, and then you get a certificate that says you're a lord or a lady or whatever.
I mean, that's kind of amazing.
That's what they sell you. And all their ads recently have been low effort memes. And it tricked, like, every time I'm like, oh, what's this meme? Oh, it's a fucking ad for fucking becoming a lord in Scotland.
See, I get a lot of those on TikTok, but it's like KFC trying to do a meme, and I'm like, excuse me, KFC? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I just immediately swipe up.
Yeah, me too. It's
But and then TikTok's so cute. It's like they have that occasional like, hey, take a break from scrolling, and I just immediately just
no, I'm like, nope, don't. It's patronizing in a way. It's there's 2 dudes that I always see. One is like this guy who's like, wait a minute, you've been scrolling for a long time, and then there's that guy who's like, hold on, you've been scrolling. Like, I know that it's fun to keep going, and I'm like, excuse me, men, stop telling me what to do, men.
Mine's always a girl, but like
I never get a girl. I get 2 guys. I'm like, excuse me, man, I'd like to scroll on TikTok for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Uninterrupted. Thanks.
I'm just like, I don't need
I'm
the
a grown-ass woman.
It's like when Netflix it's like when Netflix asks you if you want to keep watching, and you're like, I know I do, bitch.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If I wanted to stop, I would turn it off.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, sidetrack corner. Yeah, where we get? Oh yeah, the Borg being a metaphor for consumerism. But yeah, that's my take. Is that the metaphor is that the Borg can be an analog for rampant consumerism and colonialism.
They also look like RoboCop.
Yeah.
So Dory, I have a question. What did you not like about this episode?
Honestly, I found it kind of boring.
That's fair.
I think I also was like expecting more interesting stuff from Q.
Okay. The episode was definitely a slow burn.
Yeah, I don't know. I think also I let myself I think I also pumped myself up too much. I'm thinking of like, what is this thing that he's going to introduce him to? And in my predictions, I said purgatory.
Yeah, not quite correct there.
So I think I put my expectations a little too high. So when it was like, surprise, it's a different kind of villain, I was like, oh.
I was really hoping you'd guess zombies because like it's arguable the Borg are zombies.
I said zombies was one of my guesses until I was like, no, that's crazy. Why would they have zombies? I said it with the vampires. And,
you didn't commit to it. You'd be like, no, it's
I didn't
stupid.
commit to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did mention it though, so it was on my mind. I don't regret guessing purgatory, but
you could argue that existing as a Borg is purgatory.
Yeah, but I mean, I meant literal.
Yeah.
The place. But I suppose also like 7,000 light years away. Could that be purgatory? Yeah, it's, I don't know. I think I just had higher expectations. Like, I didn't dislike the episode. It's not my favorite. I honestly will likely forget about this episode, like, a few weeks from now.
Yeah, it didn't live up to your expectations, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I set the bar kind of high with purgatory, so when it wasn't purgatory, not that I was disappointed, I just was like, if I'm gonna be wrong, I'll be wrong big, but I kind of expect something to be like, oh shit, but it wasn't oh shit.
I feel like personally, I feel like it was oh shit.
I don't know, to me it wasn't like, oh my god, it was just like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Well, if it makes it feel any better, unlike the bug things, the Borg actually do come back and pose a threat.
Yay. Like, I think they're an interesting group. It just, yeah, I don't know. It didn't...
Do you like them more than you like the Ferengi?
To be fair, I like everybody more than the Ferengi. Weird side note, I was typing something into my phone the other day, and it was started with, like, F-E. I can't remember. And then in my suggested, like, it gives 3 suggestions on my phone. Ferengi was one of the options that came up.
Oh.
That is excellent news.
Nice.
I was like, oh god, I've written that word enough times that now my phone thinks that if I write F-E, that's what's going to be next.
Yeah. That's great.
That's upsetting.
That's why it's always interesting to have, a newbie watching this stuff, because, like, maybe I'm excited because I just know what's going to happen. I know what this means for the series, rather than this was actually, like, an exciting, interesting episode.
I guess maybe when, like, they show up again, I'll be like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for now, I think I also just, like, I didn't care for Q in this episode. He had a couple of good lines, but, like, he
kind of doesn't need to be in this episode, honestly.
Yeah. It didn't feel very Q from my 2 other Q experiences. Yeah. This didn't feel very Q.
Yeah. I do kind of like what they're saying with this episode, in that, like Picard says, it's like, yeah, maybe we needed he says a kick in our complacency. I like that they weren't able to figure out how to solve the problem. They're like, this is fucking way beyond us. We don't know what to do. Like, that I really appreciated. That, like, it was like a problem they couldn't solve. At least not immediately.
We fucked, mate. We fucked.
Yeah. We're fucked. And that's the aspect that I liked about it, that they were... Oh, and what I really, really appreciated is Picard's willingness to put his pride aside when they're, like, totally, completely fucked. Picard's just like, hey, man, Q, I will do whatever you want, you know? Like you mentioned earlier, he's like, if we die, you won't be able to say I told you so. And he says, like, you want me to say I need you? I need you. You know, I just think it's like, I get so tired of the attitude of just like pride above else. I just really appreciate that Picard is willing to do that. Like, there was another episode where Picard was prepared to surrender. I forget what it was, but there's just multiple examples of that, and it's a thing that makes him different from Kirk, which I appreciate. Like, it really shows the difference, and it's just an aspect of Picard I really, really appreciate. That his ego doesn't get bruised.
Yeah, he has a sense of humility. Mm-hmm. I guess it's time to see if anyone has any standout moments of this episode. Is it
yes.
18 people dying? Because that's a pretty standout moment.
No.
It's okay, you never see them, it's fine. They're not real.
I have a couple of things that I liked. Some of it was just like small, just small random things. Q is playing like handball or something on the shuttle.
Oh yeah.
Just like super random.
He's just like bouncing a ball.
Yeah, why? But I liked that. Just was really random. I like when Q brings Picard back to the ship and they're in 10 forward. There's nobody in there, and then Guinan just pops up from behind the bar.
Yeah, that's right.
And I simultaneously like this line, but I also don't like it. I like that Q still had that thing again, like had the tension with Worf. Mm-hmm. So when like Worf and Riker just like casually walk in to 10 forward, Q goes, the redoubtable Commander Riker and Microbrain growl for me. Let me know you still care. And then Worf like lunges. Worf.
Yeah.
It brings me back to one of my favorite parts from season 1 was like when Worf dumped the drink on the floor.
Oh yeah. I think my favorite aspect of this episode was probably the music. I really, really like the music. It's this sort of like really synthy, atmospheric deal, and it's just so much my jam. And as I mentioned before, I think my favorite part is Picard's willingness to just put his pride aside and beg Q to help them.
That is completely fair. That is something I can relate to.
Yeah.
My favorite moment is actually a weird choice that they made in I don't know if it was the writing or the directing or what, but Guinan is sitting there staring out into space. She sees the Borg cube basically right in front of the ship, and they contact her and say, Guinan, can you see this on our view screen? And she leaves the room, goes to another room to turn on a screen to look at the thing that she was just looking at,
yes.
And then answers them.
Oh my, yes, I remember that.
I think that was just like a directing error. Like it was going to be that she was just looking out at regular space, and the memo didn't like get through properly the same way, and they were like, oh yeah, we got to put the ship out here. Mm-hmm. So they just had the wrong effect for it or something. But just weird choice, and I found it extremely amusing.
Yeah. So we should get into predictions for the next episode. The next episode is called Samaritan Snare.
Oh, God.
Good luck. I don't know what that means. And your hint for the episode is there's 2. Number 1 is the crew runs into the dumbest people in the galaxy. And number 2 is
conservatives.
Ooh. She said the thing that I said.
And number 2 is Picard goes on a road trip with Wesley.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or
okay.
space trip, I guess you could call it.
No, it's a road trip.
Yeah. It's a road trip in space.
Oh. Ooh. Okay. Okay. So the gang meets the stupidest
Yeah.
people.
And those are two separate things.
And
So basically, while Picard and Wesley are on their trip, the rest of the gang runs into these dumbasses.
okay. Okay. Well, like a Samaritan, isn't that just like a person, like civilian? I don't know.
That's right.
'Cause, like,
Yep. No, that's correct.
so
So
they
a
capture people.
So a Samaritan is actually a person from Sumeria, I believe. I'm not sure. It's like
Isn't that a Sumerian?
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I got it mixed up in my head. Sorry, Sumerian, Samaritan. It is a person.
Like a good Samaritan?
Yeah, it is a person from a place, and the Good Samaritan was someone who was from wherever Samaritans come from, who did a good deed. That's the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a story behind being a good Samaritan.
Yeah, it's a story.
Okay.
It's like a Samaritan helps someone on the side of the road or some shit. It's like a Bible
okay.
story, I think. I don't know if it's in the Bible or if it's just one of those like ancient Greek stories.
That's a good question.
I didn't even realize there was a story. I thought it's just, helping an old lady cross the street.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
that's where the phrase comes from.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't know there was like an origin story. Interesting. Man, I learned a lot today.
Oh yeah, Parable of the Good Samaritan. It's in the Bible.
Oh, party.
Yeah.
Time for Bible study.
Hard pass. Okay. So maybe, the main gang goes down to this new planet for... I'm just trying to think, like, what would Wesley and Picard be doing, just the two? Unless Picard's revealing he's Wesley's true father. No, I'm kidding.
Are you kidding?
I am kidding. I
That's too
know
bad.
he's not.
Okay. just as a quick note, Samaritans are from Samaria, which
Oh.
Sumeria and Samaria different. And apparently Samaria is now located where the West Bank is.
Oh.
Well, that's awkward.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know the Bible, so sorry.
Hey, that makes two of us.
I mean, it's a real place.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't doubt that. I just
yeah.
didn't know. I didn't know Sumeria and Samaria were two different places. Or
Yeah.
I knew Sumeria was a real place. Or I knew one of them was real.
Yeah.
I just didn't know both were. The Samaritan thing, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, why would Picard and Wesley be off on their own? It's like Picard's worst nightmare. Okay, well, maybe... Okay, I've got like a kind of a vague one for both sides. Maybe there's something going on with they need to do some kind of, like, not maintenance, because they just did maintenance, but they need some part to do some kind of jump or some kind of specific thing on the ship, and Picard and Wesley are going to one place to go look for it because Wesley knows what this piece is, and then maybe Geordi knows what the piece is, so they split them up. So like Geordi and the other team go down to like the planet, see if they have the thing, and then maybe Picard and Wesley are going for the thing somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that's pretty that's pretty garbage, but and then the people there are stupid.
So basically, what you're saying is Wesley and Picard are on a road trip to find a part for the engine of the Enterprise?
Not the engine. I don't know, just
Oh.
some piece.
Oh, okay.
Because isn't the engine just the crystal thing?
No, there's a lot of parts to it. The crystals regulate the reaction of the engine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. No, little bit side note. Okay. Okay, new plan for the Picard Wesley story. What if this is like a Wesley's family? Like he's near maybe where like either maybe not where Beverly's from, but where his dad is from. Because I know that like I don't think Beverly's from Earth. So maybe Jack Crusher also wasn't from Earth. And it's near the place, or like maybe his grandparents or something are nearby. So Picard takes Wesley to see his family because it's the only opportunity he's going to get because they're so close. So that's my Wesley Picard theory. The people with the dumb people. Maybe they just like, while they wait for Picard and Wesley, they're just like, let's go down to this planet and meet dumb people.
Alrighty. Well, if you want to find out if Dory's right, watch along with us and join us next time for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.